Hi everyone, my name is Anissa Brademeyer, and for this project I studied inequality according to race and ethnicity. And I wanted to focus on inequality seen in the workplace for people of color. And since media plays such an important role in socialization with, as far as depictions of stereotypes for people of color goes, I decided to view films that portrayed this struggle. And since most everyone views films, I figured that might be the best way to try and get the points across completely to everyone. I believe that films should be used to help inform people on ways to decrease the amount of racism seen presently in the world, and I think that there's a huge media holds such a high power that I think we could really do it if we try harder in the future. So the first film I decided to watch was Remember the Titans. A lot of people have seen that movie. It's pretty common, and it's won a lot of different awards, particularly because it focuses on bringing blacks and whites together and being able to work together despite differences and completely disregarding the fact that there's a difference in skin color and just setting that aside. This film was based during a time where racial integration was just in its beginning stages, so there was still quite a bit of disagreement and hostility between on both ends of it, really. So for example, there are segregated buses, if that tells you anything. And then Coach Tabor, the white coach, said, "I'm not going to do anything to help that monkey," when he was talking about Coach Boone, who was the new black coach. And Coach Boone was told that he would be dismissed from his position as the coach if he lost even one game, and he was just constantly harassed, even to the point where a brick was thrown through his family's window at home. So there's just a huge struggle there as far as being able to feel equal to your equal. They're both the same level of coach, so there really shouldn't have been any difference other than the fact that the difference in skin color caused issues apparently in the workplace unnecessarily. So, but even despite the pushback, Boone was always taking positive action. He would come back and say things like, "Well, we're gonna get ready for Saturday and we'll see you out there on the field," which just shows that he can rise above, as so many people are really forced into doing in the workplace. So I think that's a really good kind of perspective to take, even though the other coaches probably deserved to be told otherwise. So one way that the players got to know each other better was through what was called sustained contact in this film. And that was where you have to get to know a player of a different race from you. So they would have to ask each other questions, and they start to really get to know each other and just joke around. And this is kind of a turning point in the acceptance of each other. So in a scene in the locker room, the guys start singing "Ain't No Mountain High Enough," and it's just there's a sudden change of heart, especially in that scene, where they just embrace their differences and truly become a team. And I think that's probably the best way to get rid of the divide in the workplace between skin color, and it doesn't even have to be just between blacks and whites, but just of any race. So I thought that was a really great example of being able to overcome that. And one thing I kind of thought was funny is that they actually kicked Ray off the team, which was a white player, for being racist. So, as the story goes on, the roles are kind of reversed, and they really change positions on the side of the spectrum of which they feel they identify with. And then at a similar time in American history, the second film I watched is Hairspray. And Hairspray utilizes music as a symbol for the struggles experienced by blacks. So little Ines, who's this adorable little, she has this great voice, she's a singer, and she's so into dancing, and she just gets super excited and really wants to compete. So finally she competed for the Little Miss Hairspray Award, and many white people were appalled that she competed, and secondly, that she actually won, and she won despite voting ballots being switched, which definitely says something. So just because in the workplace you can't be seen as equal doesn't mean that people on the outside aren't still rooting for you, and can help to make that difference for you. So just coming together as a team and knowing that there are struggles and just being aware is like a huge thing that especially helped Lil Ines in this case. In the beginning of the scene, or of the film, there's a scene where blacks are depicted in detention, and they're told that they need to be steered in the white direction. And these records of detention, if it's consistent enough, like, it can really break future opportunities for things like college acceptance and like job offers. So that can also help, unfortunately, to cause them to stay like at the low status that is typically found. And thus that gets into kind of another thing, but it still plays a role, because being unable to be accepted into a good college can mean that it's harder for you to get a better job in the future and to make money and to move up on the socioeconomic ladder. So that's huge, and it shouldn't be seen as just blacks are in detention with like maybe 2 or 3 like white people who might have done something wrong, but like if it was with a black person, and I think that's ridiculous. But yeah, additionally then, the TV station only offers 1 day for blacks to make an appearance, which is Negro Day. So that like prevents blacks from having the same opportunities to be on air every single day, which prevents them from having a consistent job in the entertainment industry. So if you think about it, like, that's probably a huge reason, it is a huge reason as to why so many black people and other people of color were not seen as much, and were not as relevant or as present in the entertainment and like music industries and just anywhere in media for quite a long time, until this problem was identified, which is huge. So identifying the problem and then being able to find ways to help that problem, like, it's the best thing that you can do, I feel, in cases such as these, like dealing with social issues. So a study by Barry in 2014, this is getting into all of my research, which I love doing. It was super interesting to kind of hear more about like the statistics behind everything. But the study by Barry in 2014 found that there is actually issues in being able to find a job based on your name. So regardless of your resume, how great that might look, or how many amazing credentials you might have, many applicants are still thrown to the side if their name sounds unusual. And not only this, but this same study found that many people of color have issues finding a job due to their voice. So like if they have some type of accent, then that may prevent them from earning a specific job. And especially if you're forced to have a phone interview, like, and phone interviews, like, especially if you want to be able to move away and have extra opportunities for career growth and whatnot. And then kind of going along with this was an article by White in 2016, and it found that there's major despair following the Hurricane Katrina tragedy, when jobs were unable to be found, and even when jobs were obtained, many of the people of color were accused of crime, like theft in the workplace. So, and since Hurricane Katrina primarily affected a huge population of African Americans, this really took a toll on them, and brought them down, and it was draining so physically and emotionally and financially, and it was just like a major time of struggle for many people. And White said that despite geographic and socioeconomic differences, people of color, especially African Americans, are at a loss when jobs are concerned. And then he went on to address the stigma of blacks not being hard workers, and I guess like the stereotype of blacks not being hard workers, and I just think that's really unfair to try and judge an entire race or ethnicity, like, and to try and generalize that, because there's also white people who aren't productive in the workplace, but you don't hear people going around saying that, like, oh, all white people are just really lazy at work. You, like, a lot of people, you just don't hear that, it seems. So, yeah, I thought that was super interesting. But to conclude, people are disadvantaged from job opportunities based off of color of skin or ethnicity. And this is a major social problem in our society, and there has to be a call for intervention, to try and help, like, maybe make programs available for people of color to help steer them in the right direction, regarding ways to obtain jobs and how to properly address issues that they may be having in the workplace. And then also having classes for every company to make sure that they're being aware that there's like a zero tolerance policy for racism and discrimination or prejudice towards any person of color. So yeah, but to improve the situation at hand, like, I think it's first and foremost important that we understand the social issue first and educate ourselves, and then we can move forward in trying to create programs to help the situation. Thank you.